Okay.
I'll introduce this one.
Great.
Episode 17. The Skype one.
The Skype one.
You
That's
guys
not
gotta
really
explain
Skype.
how you did it.
Oh, this was awesome.
This day was weird.
So,
yeah, go for it.
so what's happening right now is Evie is on the phone with Ed. Ed is down the hall in the morning.
What's going on over there?
And now
What news from
Ed
Drama?
is listening to a recording of this take of Evie and trying to match kind of what he did on the phone.
It was really hard.
So these two.
Yeah, I am so impressed with
So
you.
the Ed you see
the way
doesn't
they did it.
exist while Evie is filming this tape.
Yeah,
He's just standing in the hallway on
Ed
a phone.
in reality during Evie's take is down the hall, and then Evie in reality during Ed's take is chilling in the room.
And this is another time that I forget things because of the way that we lit it and put it together. Like, Evie is lit by just this bar light that we have under her, and her headphones are plugged into her phone.
Yeah.
Because we're just having that conversation. And then later, I don't think my headphones were plugged into
A computer playing this.
They were plugged
Yeah.
into the computer playing the digital recording that was just sitting to the side of me. And again, same thing with the light and the rig. So we were just playing to nobody.
And this is in Marcus's room in his house.
Yeah.
Different university.
Yeah, it just looks really kind of. Actually, I'm kind of really impressed at how it looks. I never really looked around him, but it looks kind of
There's like enough
sad.
stuff to make it look
Yeah.
not barren.
Depressing.
I was sitting on the floor up against a doorway. Like that.
And then
It's the
boxes
epitome
next
of
to you.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I remember on this day is I came back to the room to grab something, because this is Evie's in my actual room. And I walk in and I get, don't come in here! Don't go away! Go away! Don't be here! Because they wanted to just keep the mood. And I
Oh,
wasn't
Andy, talk about
supposed
that.
to be there.
Talk about that.
So I sat in the hallway.
You played that game with her,
sandwiched.
where if you were looking at her and she looked at you, and you guys made eye contact, she lost, but she had to look at you.
Oh
a
yeah,
number of times.
what episode was that for?
This
It was
one.
this one. Because it was
When
the,
she's
like,
on
the,
Skype
the
and
danger
she's
of
scared that Jules is gonna walk in.
coming home.
Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, with Evie. I
Yeah, talk about
think
that.
with
Yeah,
you.
talk
No,
about
this is when I had to leave the room.
Oh my god.
Wait, I didn't know anything about this. I was down the hall. What
Yeah.
are you
No.
talking
Yeah.
about?
Talk about this. Talk about this.
I guess it was just to try to really get that moment where.
That's it. She's looking at Andy right now.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
Andy's standing with his back to her, and he slowly turns around
Got it. Now I know what you're talking about.
throughout
Okay.
the course of the take, and it gets just to build Nancy's
Got it.
nervousness.
That is so cool.
It's so cool.
So I'm kind of a weirdo in that.
He likes to play
I
games.
I like to play games. I really do like to play games. I think so one of the games that we played here, because the idea is that at any moment Jules could walk in on this conversation with Nancy talking to Monty, and that Nancy can't let that happen. So what I did is I'm actually on the left of Nancy right now, or of Evie, and I told her every time if we make eye contact, you lose. So you can't catch me catching you. And just little games like that, like I know there was another one that we played with you, and we had games like that all around. But it was just to try to evoke that moment out of the actor.
So editing this was really simple to do, but setting up the actual file was really hard because we had to sync you guys up, and it wasn't always perfectly in sync. So every time it gets a little out of sync, those moments had to be moments like around where we cut. But then choosing who was in close up.
Skype, I messed up your contact in her phone, and
I like this episode because you get multiple close ups of each of you guys, which is not something we usually get in the series.
So I want to ask you guys something. Did that help actually? Now I'm thinking about it a lot for some reason.
The games are great.
Did the games would it help to have someone during a recording, during the actual filming, be there kind of behind the screen but playing?
Well, it's like
I think that would throw me more than what you did with her, because with her you weren't embodying anybody, you were representing a sense of danger and nervousness, whereas if she was talking to somebody, that would be far more distracting.
Or like in episode 18, when Monty comes in to do his last goodbye, I was actually sitting under the desk, and he had me.
We'll
talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the next commentary.
Yeah, but that was very important.
Funny thing about the first version of this episode, we always knew we wanted to have a Skype conversation. Actually, the very first time we talked about doing Jules and Monty, we were like, oh, what light through yonder window breaks? What
Gotta
if
be
it's
a
a Skype
Skype call.
conversation? That's so modern. Of course, that didn't work
We
out.
had no idea how to make that
It
work.
wasn't gonna work. So we ended up using it later on as the device, and I really like how it plays out. But the original version of this scene there was no mention of Cliff hitting her. For some reason, we didn't think that it needed that much attention, and then started realizing that that's the major thing that's happened. That's the reason for all of this. The reason Nancy's protecting her best friend, and that's what gets Monty to rise and run back to her.
How hard was it for you to discard ideas like that?
To discard
Like
original ideas?
Like original ideas.
Tricky, because I
inspiration.
think you definitely, when you come up with something like this and you have all these crazy ways you want to adapt it and like make it cool, it has to fit. And if it doesn't fit, you have to put your ego aside and be like, oh, actually, that's not as clever as I thought it was.
It was much easier to give up the Skype call initially because we hadn't written the episode. But a couple episodes that we wrote, we had to completely redo. And that was much more difficult. Like once we already have the file, it's so much harder to just be like, we're not using this.
Ciao.
But when it's just an idea, it's a little easier.
One of my favorite notes ever in Emma's notebook was Im's boobs.
We did. I mean, the first couple takes of this scene were like
Towel.
or like just like bent from the knees, maybe.
We talked about nudity on the set of Jules and Monty.
I mean, we captured a lot of things that maybe shouldn't have been captured.
Well, and I mean, like, to get those angles, I just had to be naked.
Not the cameraman.
Just refuse to put clothes on.
Naked
But,
camera.
I would say that for a healthy environment, creative environment, I think that I would say being really honest about what you see and just telling the actor straight on is much better. For example, the actress playing Rose, Becca, we had a crotch shot underneath her dress, and in order to avoid it,
It was an accidental.
Yeah, no, it was
It's not part of the series.
absolutely accidental. So you wonder,
actually
you're in the room and you need to get the scene going. How do you avoid that? Instead of trying to play games and hint towards it, just say it. It just makes the work
It was
go
a
around
kind of
faster.
brutally honest set anyway. Like we were good about saying, no, that didn't work. Try it again, or try this, or do that, and it was always constructive.
Or Ben, you smell. Just do that.
Yeah, nobody was afraid to call anybody out for things, but it wasn't even calling people out. It was like constructive suggestions.
Well, I think when you have an end goal in mind and you're working to create something, and you recognize that that's only going to happen if you're on the same page and honest, and you leave your emotions kind of outside.
Well, and I think the main thing that I learned from this entire process is just because I know that many times we had even contention with some of our own opinions, but I would say that if all of that contention, all of that fighting for your idea or your opinion didn't exist on set or didn't exist in like this collaborative artistic art form, why are you doing it in the first place? I think you would be in the wrong room if you weren't like
up for that.
always trying to stand up for your argument, for your idea, and trying to fight and then compromise and then collaborate. Like,
Passions are good.
jeez, no. So that's something that I learned because I took it as like, oh, they just don't like me or something like that. But no, that's not it at all. That's not it at all. So that's something that
It was just me that didn't like you.
Yeah. But that's just weird.
Okay, if the whole internet knows you guys have a thing, it's fine.
I feel
I'm getting so much trouble for this.
Should not be between you two.
For what?
Yeah, no, you
Olivia,
should.
vlogs have gotten me in a lot of trouble with my significant other. I'm sorry, Olivia. I love you very much.
Good.
got nothing
Olivia's
on
his
you.
imaginary friend. I'm his real girlfriend.